Hello everyone, today I'm filming in Peninsula city-state. This is one of the most desirable residential areas in Shekou, Shenzhen. It's right by the waterfront, surrounded by parks, cafes, and high-end apartments with beautiful views across Shenzhen Bay. So before I start today's video, let's just take a quick look around. So right near here is the Shenzhen Bay Bridge, and this is the main connection from Shekou over to Hong Kong. And the views across the water are amazing. Oh, I love everything with water. Look at that. So pretty. Alright, let's get started with today's video. Hello, welcome back to Xiao Inside China. My name is Shekou. We hear about China in the news every single day, but how much of that is the full story? As someone that's born and raised in China, I can tell you that there are parts of our culture and mindset that you can only understand if you have lived it here. And that's exactly what this channel is about. I'm taking you behind the headlines to show you what life actually looks like on the ground. So hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out. There are some myths about China in the world that are so widespread, and I honestly can't wrap my head around it. During my first semester at a US university, I told my classmate that I'm from China, and her first question to me was, "Do you guys see dogs over there?" I didn't even know how to react. Was I embarrassed, amused, or shocked? Mostly, I was just so shocked about how little Americans know about China even today. So today I'm breaking down the top 5 myths about China that the world believes, and I'm gonna tell you which one is right and which one is dead wrong, so stay with me. Myth number 1, China is dangerous and has high crime. So one question I get constantly is, Sheryl, is it actually safe to travel in China? And honestly, instead of giving you a boring yes, let me just show you what it's like. I'm trying to look for cameras around me, and actually I found one. Oh, in the back. That. First off, look at the cameras. They're literally on every single street corners. Now, I know that might sound like a little big brother to some of you, but over here, they're basically your 24/7 security guard. You can walk through a dark alley in Shanghai at 3 a.m. and not even think twice about it, because you know you're probably being recorded by 3 different cameras at the same time. But it's not just the cameras, it's the culture. We have this thing called Xiao, which is basically a midnight snack in China. In most Western countries, when most restaurants close up, the streets get empty and a little sketchy. Here in China, that's when things are just getting busier and the night's just getting started. You'll see people going out, grabbing beers, catching up with friends, with families, and eating at roadside stalls late into the night. When the streets are this busy and full of life, there's just no room for crime to happen in the shadows. Here's another super practical reason. China is almost 100% cashless. Chinese people pay for everything with their phones through WeChat or Alipay. There's literally no physical cash to steal. And even if someone managed to swipe your phone, what they get is just a digital break to them. Now, I know some girls are probably wondering, so Sheryl, what about if I'm a female and I solo travel to China, is it gonna be safe for me? Look, I've lived in the States, and I actually drove from Virginia to LA all by myself, and I lived there for over a year. And I've experienced it all. I had catcalling, I've seen all the craziness in downtown LA. I even had someone break into my garage while I was asleep. Coming back to China after all of that was just like this huge sigh of relief. In China, I feel like I can finally put down my guard wherever I am. As a Chinese person, I understand, the things that Chinese people care about. I know that most Chinese people work really hard, and what they care about is just, make more money and to build a better life for their family. They're not looking to randomly mess with you on the street. Of course, I know that there's crazy people everywhere in every other country, but in China, I'm just comparing my experience in the US and in China. It's just the safety of these two countries are completely two different levels. So compared to some major cities in US center, China is definitely one of the safest destinations for female solo travelers. Myth number 2, Chinese people eat dogs. Before I tell you if this is true or false, let's look at where this idea even came from. In the mid to late 1800s, Chinese laborers came to the US for the gold rush and to build the railroads. At the time, Chinese people were viewed as alien or inferior, and food was used as a weapon to other them. Newspapers or cartoons back then exaggerated claims that Chinese people ate rats, cats, and dogs. This stereotype was set in stone before most Americans had ever even met a Chinese person. So what's the reality? Well, dog meat consumption does exist in certain parts of China, but it was never universal. During the Korean and Vietnam Wars, some American soldiers saw people eating dog meat in those countries, but because many couldn't distinguish between different Asian cultures, the stereotype just stuck to China regardless of the facts. So let's look at some facts today. A 2016 nationwide poll found that 70% of residents have never eaten dog meat. Over 51% believe that the trade should be completely banned. In 2020, the Ministry of Agriculture reclassified dogs as companion animals, officially removing them from the livestock category. Shenzhen became the first city to officially ban the sale and consumption of dog and cat meat. And the pet market is exploding. In 2024, the urban pet market hit 41 billion, growing 7.5% in just 1 year. There are now roughly 124 million pet dogs and cats in urban China. The verdict? Is it true that Chinese people eat dogs? No. Myth number 3, Chinese women are traditional, quiet, and submissive. This one is actually pretty funny to me because there's absolutely nothing submissive about Chinese women. In China, women have always been the backbone of the family. They are the CFO of the household. It's a very common practice for Chinese husband to hand over their entire paycheck to their wife. Not because he has to, but because he trusts for her to have the family's best interest at heart. Unlike in the US, where stay-at-home mom is more common, Chinese women are entering workforces and taking over leadership roles at rates that beat many Western averages. We have a Chinese saying, 上得了厅堂，下得了厨房. It translates to able to appear in the hall and able to work in the kitchen. It describes a woman that manages the home and provides financially. And in order to pull that off, you need a serious backbone. That's why we have terms like sassy girlfriend or tiger mom. If anything, Chinese men tend to be the tender caretaker and emotional support in the relationship. Myth number 4, Chinese people are digitally isolated from the world. It is true that you can access to Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, X without a VPN. I'm actually using one right now to be able to talk to you here on YouTube. But does that mean that Chinese people know absolutely nothing about the world? If you look at Chinese social media, while most content is local, you see that plenty of Western contents being shared. Major Western influencers like Pamela Reeve and Charlie Puth even run their own Chinese accounts. So are Chinese people isolated? No. However, there is a catch. Any content deemed unregulated is removed instantly. This includes anything politically sensitive over sexual, superstitious content, or even excessive displays of wealth. In China, showing off your money is considered morally wrong. So it's not that China is isolated, it's that we're digitally separated. To the West, it looks like we're cut off. To China, The West just isn't the center of the world. Number 5, China is an atheist country. Is religion actually banned? Let's look at some statistics. I used Gemini Deep Research feature to find out religion spread percentage in China, and let's look at this together. So in 2024, the estimated religious distribution shows that Buddhism accounting for about 18% of the population and followed by Christianity at 8.5%, Islam at 1.8%, and Taoism at 1%. The thing that caught my eye isn't the rise of a single religion, but the dramatic increase in non-religious identification. Pew Research Center reports that while 87% of Chinese identify as unaffiliated in 2010, this figure rose to 93% in 2023 surveys. However, this shift is partly due to the rising state supervision of religious expansion. Many respondents likely choose the safer non-religious option on surveys to avoid state scrutiny and stay under the radar. In reality, Buddhism, Christianity, Taoism, and Islam are still very much practiced. However, the government has ramped up control significantly. I want to talk more about Christianity in China. In China, Christianity saw a massive expansion between the 1980s and the early 2000s. In fact, back in 2010, there were early projections that China was on track to become the world's largest nation by 2030. However, due to heavy government intervention, that projection never became a reality. So what exactly did they do? Since 2018, they've shut down unregistered churches, banned the online sales of Bibles, and required a state license just to post religious content online. They have even removed crosses from buildings and required sermons to include patriotic education. And most notably, it is illegal for anyone in China under 18 to participate in religious activities. So China is an atheist, but religious freedom is extremely limited and heavily supervised to ensure that it aligns with the socialist values. I hope this video cleared up some things you have been wondering about China, and if you found this video to be eye-opening, please give this video a thumbs up and let me know in the comments what are the things that I mentioned in the video surprised you the most. And what are some other things that you might be interested to know about China? Let me know. And thank you so much for watching my video and supporting this channel as I'm just getting started. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!